Welcome to this week's episode of That Sound Podcast. Today we have an album review of a very iconic album by Fleetwood Mac, the one and only Rumours, Luke.
One and only Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. We're on one mic today because somebody forgot their mic, me, and this week's episode is brought to you by Monster Energy. No, it's not, but if anybody else would like to sponsor us, we'll kindly take it.
Sponsored by All Kings.
Sponsored by All Kings Competitions, your premier competition website, and sponsored by Defy Sports, your local sportswear outfit based in County Louth. But for today, we are going to talk about one of probably the best pop rock records
Probably
ever made. And by God, is there some interesting stories behind the making of it. Stuff that would even be a little bit, what should I say?
There was never an album made like this in the circumstances that was in this album.
Exactly, with all the in-house shenanigans that went on, marriages broken up, separated, homes wrecked, countless dollars squandered, let alone spent, a lot of snow consumed in the summer months, and vitamin C and various other activities throughout. But Gavin is going to tell you all some of the stories behind
Yes, what an album, yeah.
Rumours by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. I'll give the old boring well, it's not really boring, but the old facts about the album. So Rumours is the 11th studio album
By Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, because, only second by the classic lineup, with Peter Green. But isn't it mad to think that they had 11? It's
Yes.
crazy. So it's the 11th, but only the second with the classic lineup, with Lindsey Buckingham on guitars and vocals, Stevie Nicks on vocals, Christine McVie on keyboards and vocals, and John McVie on bass, and Mick Fleetwood on drums. The album was released on the 4th of February in 1977 by Warner Brothers Records, largely recorded in Sausalito's record plant in 1976. Also, 1 year it took to record this album.
Full year,
Which is an insane, even in the 70s, like a year.
A year in the studio would be tight.
It was produced by the band with Ken Calliot and Richard Dashut, and similar. There's a very good interview on YouTube with Ken. Talks about the recording process. If anyone wants to check that out, go. It's very good. The recording sessions took place as the band members dealt with breakups and struggled with alcoholism, heavy drug use, both of which helped shape this album. This album has a whopping 40 million sales. And I seen a fun fact, it is a fact, that in Ireland this year it was one of the top 10 selling vinyls.
Well, there's an interesting one for you. I definitely contributed to that stat, as I bought one for my mother as a Christmas present.
Yeah.
She absolutely loves this album. Now, it being released on the 4th of February, I'll not spoil her age, but she would have been young at that time, and I had asked her about the hits that came off the back of this album, and she said that they would have been very prevalent on the scene in the 80s when they were going out to clubs and when they were going out to bars and listening to music.
100%, yeah.
And I think that's class, to think that they were so present in that time, all of those tracks. And in fact, we had the record on the other morning. I was refreshing myself with it, and the record player's in the kitchen, and we use it, and it's absolutely class, and she's a massive fan of that record. But there was one tune in particular, Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, that I always forget is Fleetwood Mac song, and that's on that album. So you have so many massive hits on one album.
Massive.
Absolutely massive. There's none of them are filler. Some of them are just lesser known.
Yes.
And all are brilliant. There's not one shit track on this album. It's unbelievable. The quality is insane. No wonder it took a year. And I'd love to see the offcuts. I'd love to know what's throughout. But
There's
don't stop thinking about tomorrow. It sounds like one of those generic 80s tracks. And for some reason it reminds me, especially with the shuffle, of like a Slade song. You know, Slade, I wish it could be Christmas every day, but Slade are also a brilliant band outside of the Christmas song that Evan Walsh, my bandmate, is a huge fan of. Absolutely loves them. They're electric. If you watch any of their live performances, their showmanship is unbelievable. But this album, after having a whopping 40 million sales, went 21 times platinum in the US, 15 times platinum in the UK, 14 times platinum in New Zealand, and 13 times platinum in Australia. So you could say that the Southern Hemisphere absolutely love Fleetwood Mac. And it's easy to see why.
The world loves it.
Fleetwood Mac, to me, are the music equivalent of Disney. They're like a family favourite, fan favourite, suitable for all the family.
They're in every home.
They are in every home. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. The album reached number 1 in the US Billboard 200 for 31 non-consecutive weeks and stayed in the 200 for a decade. Just let that fucking sink in.
10 years in the top 200.
And stayed at number 1 for 31 non-consecutive weeks, in and out, you know, and stayed in the 200 for 10 years. Album is 38 minutes and 55, short but perfect for vinyl. 4 singles: Go Your Own Way, 20th of December 76, Dreams, the 24th of March 77, Don't Stop, April in 77, and You Make Lovin' Fun, September 77.
It was a single.
Yeah.
It's a great track.
It won Album of the Year in the 78 Grammys, up against Hotel California and a Star Wars soundtrack, to name a few. And you'd imagine like the Star Wars fans, like they were fanatics. And Hotel California.
That's another album that doesn't have one filler on it.
We might put that on the list.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, class. So some of the topics during the recording of the album, you had Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks had an affair.
The Behul Mick.
Yeah, the drug use came out in the album, I suppose. Amped up the harmonies, and the album, as we said already, is full of classics. The overall production of this, Luke, I swear to God, the more and more I listen to music, the 70s, 60s, 70s, and maybe some of the 80s.
Had that sound, didn't it?
It was beautiful.
It was different.
It wasn't, you know, the way there's a lot of programming and shit now where it just takes that authenticity out of it. Like even you'll talk a lot better. I noticed in some of the tracks, Mick Fleetwood, there's some random just fills.
Would you believe it? Here's a cool instance. Luke goes on a rant again. Yeah, everybody buckle in for this. Good friend and incredible drummer, Carter McLean, who plays on The Lion King on Broadway. Check him out on Instagram at Carter McLean. Was fortunate enough to play the kit that Mick Fleetwood played on Dreams.
Wow, on Dreams.
On Dreams in particular. I don't think he played it for the full record. Now I could stand to be corrected for that, but it featured on Dreams. And I believe, I could be wrong, that kit was played in Drugan's drum shop.
Where's that?
I think it's in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
I'll have to look up. It's in Pennsylvania or it's in New York. It's supposed to be a phenomenal drum shop that hopefully I'll see someday. But it was a Slingerland kit from what I remember.
Right.
And the sizes are ridiculously big. So it's like a 28-inch kick drum and like a 15-inch rack tom and a 20-inch floor tom.
Yeah, the rack toms were huge.
Which is crazy. But then again, Mick's like 6'6" or 6'7". He's a massive dude. So that would make sense. But when you listen to Dreams, especially as a drummer, it's an unbelievable drum track, number one. He captures the essence of it incredibly. There are a lot of fills.
Random, just
very tastefully thrown in, but random. Unorthodox in approach. But very, very cool. But hard to believe they're that big. The drums must have been heavily dampened, or just a phenomenal touch. But that is the cool story off topic of this album in particular, that Carla McLean, a buddy of mine, got to play that exact kit, and we talked about it one day for about 20 minutes. I was absolutely elated. I couldn't believe it. It's just one of those things where you're like, what? And even though it mightn't be as big a deal, because maybe Mick isn't as big a household name as a drummer to myself or some other people as the drummers we love and admire or grew up admiring, but it's still really cool to get to play a kit that featured on an album that sold over 40 million copies.
Unbelievable. Like, that's a cool fucking story. But yeah, back to the production. It's so smooth. To me, smooth perfection. You know, a nice mix of songs overall on this album, I felt. Ballads, you know, songs, catchy pop ones, you know, secondhand news, dreams. Like, there is an overall, even songboard. It's like something that you could play on your wedding day or your funeral, if that makes sense. But the fun thing I learned was that the tapes during the process were used so much. I believe it was the problem that delayed the release of the album because of the length of the recording process, that the tapes became so fragile and a lot of work had to be done to recover some of the material. I believe that it had to be spliced and taped together, and like the tapes were just withered to nothing. There was that much over tracking and dubbing, and yeah. Like there was months spent on trying to save some of the tracking. So the lineup, as we mentioned, Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, Kristen McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood. The artwork, a very cool art cover. And you know what? I'll read this first, and I'll say I've never noticed the good
innuendo or the
the dangler, the dangles. So the photographer who was behind the masterpiece was Herbert Worthington. The cover created imagery aspects such as mystical crystal ball that Mick Fleetwood is grasping onto, an object which is intrinsically linked with the band so heavily, even 40 years later. It's an invitation into the world of Fleetwood Mac, and the crystal ball was the perfect embodiment of everything that was going on with the band at the time. The art sees singer Stevie Nicks parade in dark robes as she holds hands with drummer Mick Fleetwood. That could be the start of the affair. For some unknown reason, is resting his foot on a stool and displays two wooden balls falling down between his legs. Very confusing, and we believe they deliberately made it so as to portray the bizarre nature of which the album was created, with relationships failing and affairs frequent.
That's crazy. I watched some documentary years ago about the recording of Rumours, and you might be fit to tell me. But was the story of Mick and Stevie having the affair something to do with like a jacuzzi or a party at the end of the night where they were the only two left?
I didn't hear that one.
No,
I just heard. What I heard was that so going in, so when Peter Green left Fleetwood Mac, Lindsay was poached, and he says, "I'll only come if you bring my girlfriend, Stevie Nicks." So Stevie came, and during the first album with the new lineup, the trouble started, and that the two of them went their separate ways, and then John McVie, the bass player, and Christine they were together and split up, and Christine went away with like a light engineer or a sound engineer on the thing, and then Stevie was with Mick, the drummer, who was married at the time, and then he left his wife, who wasn't involved in the band, and then Lindsay, I think, might have been with Christine at one stage as well, but it was just chaos.
It was madness.
It was absolutely chaos. So, will we get into the tracks?
Let's get into the tracks.
So, track number 1, Secondhand News, pop song. Lindsay Buckingham wrote this one. It was about Buckingham finding love in other women after failed relationships with Nick's. Lindsay kept the lyrics close to his chest as to not upset Stevie. Some brutal lyrics like, one thing I think you should know, I ain't gonna miss you when you go. It's fucking brutal, man. Like, that was your girlfriend for years.
And you're in the same band.
In the same fucking room.
Yeah.
You know, like, some of the stuff that's in this is
And then you have to sing that on the same stage together.
fucking God knows how many times. You know? But this is why this album is so special. I actually really like that song, and
Brilliant.
It's quite poppy.
I love the opener. You know, before he starts singing, just when the guitar comes in.
Yeah. So Dreams then. So one day when Stevie wasn't required, I can't talk. One day when Stevie wasn't required at the main studio, she took a Fender Rhodes piano and went into another studio close by that was said to belong to Sly Stone. It was a black and red room with a sunken pit in the middle where there was a piano and a big black velvet bed with Victorian drapes around it. Nix was quoted saying, I sat down on the bed with my keyboard in front of me. I found a drum pattern, switched my little cassette player on and wrote Dreams in about 10 minutes.
I can imagine that is very accurate due to... I've taught this song a few times, and there's 4 chords in it. It's an F and a G, and it's 2 derivatives in F and G, like an F major 7 and a G6.
Yeah, simple.
Or something like that. And it's very simple. And the lyrics are simple as well. You know, it's
how she delivers it.
that's the big thing. Yeah, it's all in her delivery, all in the approach.
The producer Ken Calliot made an 8-bar drum loop of mixed drumming to create the deep hypnotic effect. So it's just looped drums, like he just looped the fucking track, like. Of course, the lyrics are a return jab at the opening track, Secondhand News. It's about the breakup of Lindsay and Stevie from Stevie's perspective. So that's like, you know, bang, you don't like me, well, I don't like you. Never going back.
I think, do you know what lyric always stood out to me in that? Whereas you'd say could really cut deep, like the cut, you know, is like, it's only right that you should play the way you feel it. It's like, well, sure, if that's how you feel, like, no hard feelings, go on ahead. I'd say that was a fairly toxic environment for a while.
Oh, can you imagine?
The Gallagher brothers hadn't a luck in.
Never Going Back Again. I really like this one.
Yeah.
I love the sound of the guitar. I was saying to you a couple of weeks ago that I read somewhere that they had to change the strings. Maybe I have it wrote down here.
You did tell me this, yeah.
One of the last songs that was written for the album, to capture the optimal and brilliant sound of the acoustic guitar for this one, the guitar had to be restrung every 20 minutes. And I do love this. I do like this one, really. Buckingham used a Travis picking technique on this one. His vocals are brilliant and honest in this one. Again, Never Going Back. Again, that's like, I'm done with you. I'm never going back, you know. And then into your favourite, or your mom's favourite, look, Don't Stop, written by Christine McVie. This time, it's Christine's turn to throw a jab at ex John McVie after their 8 years of marriage came to an end. I know Stevie Nicks is super talented, but this song with Lindsay and Christine singing, the melody and harmonies, they're hard to beat. I know Stevie does get a lot of credit, but Christine is class.
Brilliant also,
yeah. This song was used for Bill Clinton's presidential campaign in 1992. And I actually seen a clip of it during the week, and you know, he's walking out and Hillary and them all, and this song Fleetwood Mac actually played live at it.
That was a jab to Hillary from Bill.
Yeah.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Believe in Monica. Believe me, Hillary, I did not. So then we're into like gems. We've just hit gems the whole way through here.
It goes to show you that there is a lot of success to come out of failed relationships
And cocaine.
combined with cocaine and hatred for the other party.
No matter.
Well, I guess that was the magic formula in the 70s, wasn't it? That or being angry at your parents. One or the other.
It's true. Like,
Do you know?
some art comes from absolute hardship. Like probably some of the best music ever written is no one that was happy.
No, honestly.
Unless you're the Beach Boys or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe some of the Beatles stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the Rolling Stones, but...
Go Your Own Way then. Written and sung by Lindsey Buckingham. This track was developed over a period of 4 months. As with most tracks on Rumours, none of the instruments were recorded live together. Buckingham had some difficulty assembling the guitar solo for this track. Producer Ken Calliet built the solo by piecing together 6 different lead guitar takes by pulling up and muting individual guitar solos through faders.
That's something that I definitely could have picked.
You knew it.
Not that I knew it, but you listen to it and you go,
A couple of different guitars.
that sounds different, or it's almost as if the next guitar comes in
Yeah. There's a lot of tracks on this that they reckon was
double tracked, or
that was the bones of 2 or 3 different tracks.
okay, yeah.
You know, which is let me see. Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Songboard then. This is a beautiful song. I really like it. Her voice is brilliant. Written by Christine McVie. Like, these are all so talented songwriters, keyboard players, but isn't it brilliant though?
Yeah.
You know, like there's no one being carried in this band.
No.
Written by Christine McVie in 30 minutes. Oh yeah, around midnight. But didn't have anyone around to record it. To ensure she did not forget the chord structure and melody, McVie remained awake the entire night. It was recorded at Zellerbach Auditorium at Berkeley University to get the full sound and ambience of the room. So what I read was that she had it and recorded it up late that night, kept playing it so she wouldn't forget. I remember she got in a taxi or something and she was like humming it and like keeping it, and someone was talking and she's like, no. And you know,
Happens.
yeah,
Happens too.
but it was cool to get to record it in Berkeley University in the big
with a big room.
to get the full sound.
The room sound, and going off on the room sound, right? This is a good one, and we've talked about this before of, you know, big room, small room. But there was a track, a Christmas song that I had done with a good friend of mine, Keith Coleman, that's called Christmas Just For You, under Keith's name, on Spotify, and we recorded the drums in my sitting room.
Right.
So you know that room is fairly long and it's big, and there's a huge drum sound in it.
Uh-huh.
And at the minute I actually have a kit set up in the house, and it sounds absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's just the tunnel or what the story is or all the concrete, but it sounds drastically different
It's mad, isn't it?
compared to the studio.
Really. So we're on to track number 7, The Chain.
So iconic.
Yeah. It's the only song on the album with writing credits for all 5 members. Was created from combinations of several previously rejected material. The song was assembled often manually by splicing tapes with a razor blade, as I said before. The guitar solo, for me, was the best solo on the album by Lindsey, and it took 1 take to do that solo.
That was it.
For the solo. The bass progression at the end, you know, the Formula 1, do. But you can obviously that was the start of a song, and they just put it all together. Yeah, I think it's probably the most well-known song.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
What band uses it or used it? We were at a concert, I believe, the pair of us, where The Chain was the opener. You know the way Metallica has A Long Way to the Top? No, I don't think so. I could be wrong, but the way Metallica has It's a Long Way to the Top as their last song on the PA, knowing that they're going to take the stage next.
Turn up the PA a wee bit.
Yeah, somebody had the chain as theirs, which is unreal. Someone I'd actually off topic heard, and funny that Metallica used A Long Way to the Top, but somebody had said that Back in Black is one of the best songs you can use to test a PA or any speaker system. Right. And just when you're talking about back to that era of how sound was recorded and produced, you get a real measure of how it's going to come across in your speakers.
Yeah, definitely. It was, even going, as I said, like listening to some older stuff now, like I really love the older sound.
That one of John Mayall's is some contender,
isn't it? Oh man, we'll have to look at that. Into then you make Love and Fun.
Great tune.
Yeah, that's a dig too. That was about Christine singing about when she had the affair with the sound or light engineer,
and basically saying that was it John? Isn't it John McVie?
Oh, here it is. Here, yeah.
Basically saying that he was no use in the car, which is the most ultimate insult that can ever be given, especially to a man. You may just ball burst, take your ties and go home, mate.
Your man's name is Curry Grant, so fair play to you, Curry. You're a good man in the old saddle. So a Rhodes electric piano that Stratoblaster was plugged into to get the sound. That's what he did. The engineer.
Strat.
Yeah.
Into the piano.
Stratoblaster, yeah, to into the speakers, something to boost all the sound. Your man explains it in that YouTube video.
That'd be good to watch, yeah.
Yeah. Then I Don't Want to Know, pop song written by Stevie Nicks, written earlier in Korea when Buckingham and Nicks were a duo. Oh Daddy.
This is one that you have said is very strange, or when you look into it, different.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been really explained. Like it I have written down here, it is hauntingly beautiful, but it's strange.
It's very funny. If any band were to release a song called Oh Daddy in this day and age, it would be the subject of internet memes for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. But there was some theories that it was about Mick Fleetwood.
About Mick.
Because he was the daddy of the band, and to try and keep...
He was daddy. Don't kiss daddy on the lips.
To try and keep Christine from leaving the band.
Right.
Yeah. But, good song. Gold Dust Woman then, last track. It's supposedly about cocaine. Cocaine abuse. You know, I'm not mad on it. People love it. Some people say it's their favourite track on the album. I'm not crazy about it, but I mean, it's still a decent song. But
hear me out.
Overall, this is some piece of work.
Just imagine. Let me take you on a wee trip for a minute here.
Take me on a pony ride.
Just imagine that it's 1978, maybe around New Year's, and Stevie Nicks and Rick James are both at the same party. And maybe Jack Nicholson as well.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Could you imagine what Hollywood was like back then?
But the fun fact, look, as I said to you before, was that their actual cocaine dealer was going to get credited on the album.
Yes, only...
He got shot and killed, and that's why they didn't put it on it. Like, look at... there was so many mad rumours went out about Stevie Nicks that she was into witchcraft, and she was a mysterious hippie. She was beautiful.
Mystic.
She was beautiful.
Blonde.
She was.
Goldilocks.
Yeah, she just looked like a Californian, but a drug fiend at the same time. But they all were. But what that did, and what the relationship trouble they had, as you said, they knew they had something. The producer said, you can't walk away. I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. Like, whoever held that together.
That's who the credit lies with, ultimately.
I think it was Ken Calliot. He was like, guys, you just have too much. You cannot fuck this up. And by Jesus, was he right?
He was right. He was on the money.
Like, as I always say, every day is a school day, and you always learn something new. And I would appreciate music of all genres, and we're surrounded by rock and metal here, but that's just one of the things I like. I can look at this album as a pop album that it is. It's still unbelievable.
It's a feel-good album.
It's fantastic.
It's a feel, like, if you want an easy listen, if you want a bop, if you want to throw something on where you're making coffee, you're making breakfast in the morning, sun's coming in the window, doesn't matter if it's pissing rain and you're feeling very blue, if you throw this album on, you're going to be dancing around the kitchen. You're going to be having good crack.
100%.
And then you have some of those tunes like Dreams that will sort of give you that little bit of mystique, a wee bit of ambience, very nonchalant sort of laid back vibe.
Yeah.
And then, as you'd say, you have those emotion evoking songs like a Songbird,
Yeah.
that are going to take you on a journey, just like you said, one that could be played on your wedding day, one that could be played at a funeral.
Yeah.
And there aren't many songs that fit that category, that can both be happy or sad.
Yeah. No, there's a lovely blend on this album.
It's a fabulous album. It's absolutely top class.
I'd have to rate it very highly.
This one gets a 10 for me.
Yeah.
And not because everybody else says it gets a 10.
Yeah. I would definitely give it a very, very solid 9. Solid 9. I think it's fucking like a 10 is like, yeah, it's like it is. I'll give it a 9.5. I really rate this, and I hope to get it on vinyl one day because I'm mad to listen to it on vinyl.
I'll bring it over.
Yeah, but yeah, that's our take on Rumours. We hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, listening back and learning some things on it. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
Tune in.
Tune into our Patreon. Have a look on our social media pages and check out our link tree. Link is in the bio, and you can subscribe to our Patreon if you would like to help us out. You'd be in with a chance to win a copy of this on vinyl or CD or a voucher, whatever you would prefer. But if you want the vinyl or you want the CD, subscribe. Yep.
And we have a monthly draw where we give away a record or a voucher to a record shop. We will also go into a deeper dive on some of the maybe more explicit stories of this album on our members only podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And we will see you next week.
Adios.
Good luck.